Hey, all you freaks and geeks out there, we are the Square Round Table. The Square Round Table podcast is brought to you by Science on a Postcard. Science on a Postcard is an online store that specializes in science-themed enamel badges, lanyards, environmentally friendly tote bags, notebooks, and lots more goodies that represent individuality and inclusivity in the scientific community. You could find all these wonderful products on scienceonapostcard.com. And for all our YouTube watchers out there, we will add their website and all their social media platforms in the description below.
All right, what's going on, my freaks and geeks? This is the Square Roundtable. First and foremost, I want to thank everybody that tuned in last week to our podcast on Power 214. And I want to thank everybody last week that tuned into our YouTube page. And of course, just like every time, I am your host, Chad Singleton. Go ahead and introduce yourselves, guys.
D. Singleton. Marcus. Hey.
All right. Yeah, man. And yeah, guys, today is a very special podcast. We got a special guest with us today. This guy literally does everything. He's a singer, songwriter, engineer, producer, and a part of one of my favorite bands and my brother's favorite bands, the Reign of Kindo. Please, let's all give a big Square Roundtable welcome to Rocco of the Snow. What's going on, guys?
Hey, Square, round.
Hey,
Hey.
I like that. I'm
Good up.
gonna steal that, man.
There you go. That's yours. I'm giving it to you.
Thank you.
How
But
y'all
yeah,
doing?
man, we're good. Just chilling,
Yeah.
man. How about you?
Great, man. Living this weird New York life over here in lockdown. So, you know,
Hey,
keeping it together. Trying not to go batty, you know?
Look, that's everybody, man. That's what everybody's trying to do. You know, it's a little comforting because everybody, for the most part, is dealing with the same kind of crazy, trying not to jump
Right.
off of the walls. But you know, it's just a big thing of taking it day by day, man. You know,
That's right.
Yeah.
definitely. So we're
All you can do.
that's literally, you know, all you could do. So everybody here, we're just trying to make it work, man. But we are so happy to have you with us today.
Yeah, it's good to be here, fellas.
Of course. And you know what? Let's just go ahead and jump right in. So
Let's do it.
yeah, so I wanted to know, because of course, you know, you play multiple instruments, you're in multiple bands. So, you know, this is your life being a musician. I just want to know, at what point of your life did you know that this would be a career for you? And also, like, growing up, what were some of your musical influences?
Yeah, that's kind of a funny answer, unfortunately, but I started like most people, I think, in my like generation. I just loved Weird Al growing up. So like
Me too. Huge
my
fan.
cousin
Yeah.
and I just like, you know, he was actually like, he was just a master at what he did, you know what I mean? So like as a kid, my cousin and I we had a little duo. We called ourselves the Sporks. And we would just like make dorky ass songs about like, you know, ripping off like whatever pop songs of the day and like
That's pretty
make
cool.
like music videos and shit like that. It was really,
Yeah.
it was just like a fun way to not, you know, get in like crazy trouble. Like it just kept us productive and like distracted, I guess, enough. And still like
Sure.
sort of like fooled us into learning how to play music by like, you know, just messing around.
All right.
So I think I was like, and we were doing that. I started piano lessons when I was like 7. And it's funny because I come from a huge family, right? This huge like Italian family. My mom is one of 10 kids, 5 girls and 5 boys. It's like some made up shit.
Wow.
But she was, her youngest brother was the one who taught us piano lessons. Like a lot of the cousins, I had like 25 cousins on one side. So it was like, if you wanted to play football, we always had like a party. Grandma's house was like, we had enough players, like subs and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what's up.
But Saturday mornings were like piano lessons. And if it wasn't for him, like we were super poor. So like we couldn't afford, if it wasn't for my grandma having an insane amount of kids, and like the 10th one was the one who like, I think he charged my mom like $7 a lesson or something like that. Something ridiculous.
Oh, wow.
You know? And like she had to force him to take it kind of thing. Like, cause he He's actually a jazz singer out in Chicago now, but he doesn't play piano at all anymore.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's he gave me enough of a foundation, just kind of like teaching me notes and stuff like that, where I could then, at least I was playing, and then I fell in love with it. And then truthfully, I just started playing by ear. And if you like develop your ear from a young age, it's like a different kind of, it's a different language altogether. Like music in general is a language, but some people I find are much better at reading the language, you know what I mean? Like reading the notes on the page and just like reciting it back perfectly. And like that is an art form in and of itself.
It is.
And then you have the people who, I would just spend so much time like in front of like a boombox and just like rewinding the CD, going back and forth and just like trying to pick out what the hell he's doing, and that's how I kind of came up, just jamming with friends.
I can only imagine like in that, just kind of like learning how to play just off of listening to, I guess, your favorite musician, because especially like now, like it's so much easier to just go on YouTube and try to copy the finger movements or have somebody give you, and literally have a free lesson, have somebody just sit there and tell you exactly how to play, So,
But remember we were talking about, before we started getting going, option paralysis is a real thing too, right? So you almost need, I still like value, I teach lessons. I like getting lessons still too from like, other people. It's something about someone curating your learning process. Like I'm a self-learner, so I'm going to find ways to teach myself no matter what, but
big time. Yeah.
It's huge to have somebody be like, oh, I see where your strengths are. I see where your weaknesses are. And they kind of curate your path for you. And you can choose how you kind of orbit that path. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, 100%. Like that's something big. Cause I know, me and my brother, cause my brother, he plays a little piano and I play a little guitar here and there. But for the most part, I think I only had 2 formal lessons. And then it was kind of the same thing like with you. I just kind of picked it up by ear. And I guess because of just the passion that I have for it, just really wanted to learn how to play what I was hearing,
Yeah. That's good though. That's good. Truthfully, it's like, I think it keeps your mind so sharp too. It's like one of those things. Like I rip on some of my cousins who like all they would do. I was a musical family in general, but a lot of them were more focused on sports and stuff like that. And I always kind of sucked compared to them, but they're like, now they're all, you can't do that when you get older as easily, at least you're not going to be as sharp as you were when you were like 20. So it's just like this thing you can do, you never stop. You can always be like sharpening that ear and you just become better and better at it until, you move on from this world. So it's kind of nice.
No, 100%. Like you're talking, because we just actually got done talking about that. Like me and my brother are huge advocates, for the arts. We did play football a lot growing up, but the arts were just something we gravitated towards. And it's pretty much the same thing now, because, old football injuries, my leg hurt, my ankle hurt, but I can still play the guitar, so it's just like, but side note, well, hey, anyway,
you can use them fingers, man. That's all that matters.
So side note, what's your favorite Weird Al Yankovic song though, since you were like a huge fan?
Oh man, I want to just go with like the one that got me into him. Like when I heard Amish Paradise, man, like we could recite that shit. Like that shit was the jam, man. That whole album, I would just repeat. It's crazy.
That's a classic. I loved Amish Paradise, but I love when he did the Star Wars one where he talked.
Yeah.
It was he really just called out Anakin on like being
Yes, definitely. No, that's my dude. I've always been a fan of that eBay song, What I Bought Off of eBay.
I don't know that one. Shoot.
Yeah, he parodied "I Want It That Way" by the Backstreet Boys. So it was like, "What I bought off eBay."
I mean, it's like he keeps going though, man, because he's always got a new supply too. You know, it's like
Definitely. But yeah, talented guy, man. But that's pretty cool. I didn't see that coming, but yeah, Weird Al
I mean, that
is
was like
definitely a
early on then. But I mean, then as far as like song, when I got into like real song, like not that he's not a real songwriter in his own right, but I mean,
guy. Of course,
like Stevie Wonder, man, like the
Oh,
Beatles, Billy Joel, like Stevie Wonder is still to this day like one of my hugest influences, I'd say.
that's what's
And
up.
and then, but like in order, it was kind of like the piano players, right? First, because that's what I played first.
Mm-hmm.
And then like Billy Joel. I never really got into Elton John as much. That wasn't really my thing. But and then Ben Folds, Ben Folds 5. You
Yes,
know that album, Whatever and Never
yes.
Amen. Like that shit ruled my life for a little
A lot
bit.
of people don't talk about. They don't give Ben Folds the props. That's that
Dude.
guy, man.
Mm.
Oh my goodness.
Especially with that power trio he had, man. That was crazy.
Yes, like
Like
that's my guy.
I respected him. Like I kind of even fell off too after a while because it just got a little polished for my liking.
Yeah.
But I mean, but like it was like a dirty sound for like a piano, bass, and drums trio. Like the bass player Robert Sledge, I think was his name, and he just had like he put this nasty fuzz sound. And they were three people sounding like a full ass, you know. He was kind of
Yeah.
like punk rock on piano. It was cool.
Exactly. And I saw that's how I kind of feel about James Blake too, man. Like
Oh,
that's
dude,
the
James
same.
Blake.
It's just like that nasty guttural sound. I was like, but how do you get that from a piano player? It's just like, yeah,
like
it's crazy.
speaking of piano players, I got one. I don't know if you ever listened to him, Thelonious Monk.
Oh yeah, man. Hell yeah.
I love Thelonious Monk, man. That
Thelonious is that
dude.
dude.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
He's
Piano is like, is there any particular kind of piano you prefer over the other, or like, or what's the difference between like a traditional piano or an electric piano?
well, that's a good question. I think like I was talking about this with a friend of mine the other day. He was kind of like, "Oh, what's your favorite like actual acoustic piano?" And it's like, it's kind of like it's too rich a question for my blood because I've always had shitty, you know, broke ass people pianos like that somebody was
I get
giving
it.
away. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So like that kind of
Yeah.
like I got used to like a studio upright, you know, which so there are a lot of different kinds of like even sizes of pianos, right? You get like the grand, the baby grand, like the 3/4 grand, whatever, and then you've got uprights are what I'm most used to because I've never even had a grand piano. Um, full uprights like have the full sounding board, so they still sound dope even though like it's compact and everything like that. Then you got like a studio is kind of like halfway, and then a Spinet. Those things suck. They're just like it's like the shittiest. It's all of the worst parts of a piano. So you try to record it, everything sounds like muddy and just not enough bass, but too tin. It's like I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are good ones out there, but like for like the poor people mentality, like that's how I could describe it, right? That's how I always played shitty piano. So then again, like, if I was going to like have my choice, man, like you get like a Steinway Grand or like a
Okay.
Yamaha, like that would be a dream come true. Or even just like an upright would be super dope. But then compare it to like an electric piano, like I've got a Fender Rhodes in my living room. I'm in
Nice.
New York right now, so in a tiny ass apartment. I don't even have a piano in my place. It sucks.
Oh wow.
But yeah, it's crazy because it's like that's kind of like everything I do.
That's
and
your thing, yeah.
And I can't fit it anywhere. Like,
That's crazy.
that being said, I'm looking to move soon, so we're looking at new places, and I'm gonna try and change that in my life. But I do have too many things already. So I got my Nord, my red keyboard here. I've got my the Fender Rhodes is kind of like this. That's like the classic Stevie vibe, you know. Like everybody plays a Rhodes at some point in their life, though. It's like a very belly, like every R&B track, like it's just classic, man. And then a Wurlitzer is like the same. They came about similar times, but like it uses a reed instead of a tine, so it sounds like it's like a more rocky version.
Oh wow!
Is the best way. It fits better in rock mixes, is how I'll describe it. But they're kind of similar vibes. They're both electromechanical keyboards, and then you got like a clavinet, like Superstition, right? Kind of like a little plucky.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're
talking about. Vibe, right? You put wah wah on it and make it sound, really rhythmic. You like all that shit.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
And then a B3, but like each one of these, I don't know if you know Corey Henry. Like,
no.
Oh, you definitely check. You know Snarky Puppy? So like Corey Henry is like one of the best out there in the world. If he's just out of his mind.
I'll check him out.
Yeah, he's crazy. He's one of those guys you listen to and you're just like, oh God, close it for today. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's like a flat out like genius, super genius. It's really, and he's very inspiring to listen to. But him on B3 especially, man, like he talks about how every one of those instruments is so different, and like just because you play one doesn't mean they necessarily translate. You know what I mean? It seems kind of counterintuitive, but it's very true. I know people who like just won't really sound natural on a Fender Rhodes, or like, and then won't even know what to do with a clavinet. So it's all very different.
It's just kind of finding what instrument kind of helps you bring out your own personal sound, I guess.
Yeah.
So, but like, yeah, with that being said, like I kind of wanted to talk about like your album, Prime Mover. Like, I wanted to know like exactly what was your creative process like with going into your album? Like, what do you go from your lyrics and build up your song from your lyrics, or do you go from like a melody and try to add that in later? Like, what's your whole process like?
It's all over the map, man. It's kind of funny. It's like that album that came out of a project. At first, I used to work for Fisher Price, so I would do like all of these the toy audio and like the
that's awesome, man.
Stuff for them. Yeah. And it was a great gig. I got to stay in my hometown of Buffalo for a while, and I owned a studio. I was loving life. And every Monday, like some of my people from the audio department and like some of just my best friends in life, we would get together. We called it Monday nights. We'd get together and just make a beat just for fun, like just whatever we wanted to do. For just like the rule was, let's just like push it as far as we can, right? So little by little, we just started coming up with more and more shit every week, and more people would get involved. Like my one friend would be over here in the corner making like a website. The other one would be like spray painting in the lounge. Like it was just like this beautiful artist collective, right? So we started calling ourselves the Surrealist Movement. And it was this like, just bring whatever you got. Let's just be creative and like just harness the cumulative power of all this energy, you know what I mean?
Right.
And we just, out of that, kind of came out of a lot of just ideas that I had that I would bring to the table. Somebody else might have an idea. But a lot of these things, just came out of experiments. And then I would kind of, it's funny. Some of them were so old. Like I know one of the songs was like 10 years old on my album. I think I mixed it on an SSL console like years ago. The hard drive broke and I had to start it all the way over. And like, well, I don't know if you ever lost a project off a hard drive that you were like almost done with, but it's a bad feeling. You know what I mean? You're just like, all right, screw that. I'm never touching that again.
unless it's a grad school paper, then you got to start from the
beginning. And you have to, right?
And
exactly.
you have to, because I need a grade. So
it's like that, bro.
It's rough, but all that to say, it's like it depends on what the song calls for, because a lot of songs would just come out of a melody. Usually, I'm pretty melody driven, so I'll start with a melody or a chord progression, and then lyrics just come after that. And that, or if I'm writing on, that's when I'm writing on guitar, on piano. If I'm writing on guitar, it's almost always melody. And then if I write on bass, it's kind of like groove and like rhythm, more rhythmically based, if that makes sense. So it's kind of indicative of, you know, what you start on, I guess, kind of leads the way.
Yeah, and no, that makes a lot of sense. I wanted to, and that's a good question. I wanted to ask about like multiple instruments, if it was kind of the same process where you know, started from your melody first, or how that worked when you know, play different things on the album.
Yeah, it's kind of it's like a balancing act, right? Because it's when you do, like, I did have some of my really, really close friends do some parts on the album too, but like there's some songs where everything is just me, and it's not a fun process sometimes. It's like really, it can be miserable, you know, because I'm kind of OCD, so I'll spend a long time getting something right, like whether that's, you know, the vocal performance first or the groove first or whatever it is, and then I'll go back and like re-record, you know, the guitar part, and then I'll go and re-record the vocal part, and then I'll just like go back and forth until everything is of the standard I'm trying to reach, you know. And that process, it's way more fun doing it with somebody else, put it that way. Way more fun.
I know it's got to be really repetitive doing it all by yourself. Like,
but that being said, like, you get, when you're done with it and you know that you've hit the mark, like it's a different kind of gratification too, you know, because you're like,
that's awesome.
Yeah, when you finally reach that, you push it over the edge, you know, it's a different feeling. And I think that for anyone, I know you guys probably work on all different artistic projects, like when you know those ideas you've had like in the banks for a long time, and you finally get them, but it's almost like more work to do that, as opposed to when an idea hits and you're like, all right, I'm gonna just like do this today. And when I do those ideas, like most of the shit I've been working on like the past, well, since quarantine, I guess, it's always like, it feels better. It feels like just more distilled, you know. It's like
an organic sort of thing.
Yeah, instead of like, and the other stuff is good too. It's just another process, you know. I feel like you're closer to the source of inspiration, so that it's a little bit, I don't know, realer. You know, like the lyrics, you don't have to put yourself in the headspace you were at when you wrote your lyrics, whatever, 5-6 years ago. Now you're like, no, I just wrote this today. I'm like tapped into that energy, and I'm going to put it all out as soon as possible. You know, I've been digging that a lot lately.
Yeah. But the question I had about prime mover, Rocco, what is a prime mover? Like, how'd you come up with the name?
So a prime mover, the idea is kind of talking to, you ever have that question when you're with your friends where you're like, you know, if God is real, then who created God? You know what I mean? Like that, like what, who is this? It's kind of an idea, right? The idea of there being a first pusher of the dominoes that set everything in motion, or even like just the notion of bringing into question whether there is a prime mover. It's like makes you have to start asking the biggest question of all time. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a lot of the album is like the lyrical content, especially, is like self-indulgently kind of asking a lot of these questions, and like what purpose is, what the meaning of all this is, like why we're here, what you know, like I wrestle a lot with the idea of heaven and like whether that can be attained on earth or not, you know what I mean? Because I feel like for me, I always talk to heaven being the now, essentially, like this being present in this moment right now, which is very difficult to exist in, right? It's like we're all trying to do it all the time, but like if you tend to be more depressed leaning, you're a past oriented person. If you're anxious, you're more future oriented. I would be in the latter category, but at the same time, like, you know, you're goal oriented. There are positives to the two, but it's ultimately we want to live in that now state, because that's like when you really are in it. You like, you look around you, and that you're like, I wouldn't change anything about this moment right now. Like the air is perfect. Like the people I'm with are perfect. Like, yeah, it would be cool. I always have a tendency to be like a more the merrier kind of, I guess it's big family mentality. You know what I mean? I'm like, no, more people. I wish, you know, I wish all of my people were here right now, but it's like, it's not always necessary. It kind of would contaminate the moment for what it is, you know? So to answer your question in a long-winded way.
That was great.
No, that was awesome.
Pretty much what I got out of it.
Okay, cool.
A lot of those songs are pretty existential.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, and that's what I was telling Chad. I was like, as soon as I got done with it, I called Chad. I was like, man, I love this, because I'm a person who just when people just mix like different sounds and like genres, and it was just like, it was almost like an album where you just like, I'm not finna like be stuck to like attached to like one kind of genre. I'm gonna do a little bit of R&B, or I'm gonna have a little bit of funk, or a little bit of pop, or a little bit of rock. You know, a little bit of slow, a little bit of fast, a little upbeat. Like I felt like, you know, it was something that could fit in different categories, and then I loved it. Like I was playing it, and without me even realizing it, it was just playing back. Like it started right back over, and I was just jamming. I was like,
yes, appreciate you.
I love music like that.
Seriously,
like,
appreciate
the album was just so, it grabbed me like right away. Like when the first song that came on was like come to the light, I was like, oh, okay, I like this, like how you like, did the drums and all that stuff, and then you came in with the vocals. I was like, oh, this is great. And it was just really like it felt like it was really polished in production. Like everything was great about it. And it's you like thought about it like quite some time before you like were ready to like give it to the world. And so like I was like, I noticed that, and I kind of want to ask you like, which song on there did you like love making? Like which one was like one of your favorites?
Oh, that's a great question. So I definitely I had a lot of fun with a lot of different songs. I think the one that I'm happiest, which I'm not happiest when I hear it, because I'd still want to change things because I'm insane. But I feel like it's probably between Gotta Wonder and Big Riddle, because Big Riddle just makes me feel good. Like it's like your summer driving, cruising song. And truthfully, as far as like existential lyrics, I like slipping it in, but it's a blatant like kind of poppy feel good vibe. You know what I mean? It's like if you stop to pay attention, it's kind of weird, because like all the lyrics are about shit right now. You know what I mean? Like like the story behind that song was I was just going down rabbit hole after rabbit hole, right? Just like trying to find out what the truth is. You know, everybody's trying to delude me of the truth and, you know, manipulate us and this and that. I'm sure you guys have been down your own rabbit holes, you know, and it's especially now it's how hard is it to know what reality is, you know, in 2020, how hard is it to know who's trying to get one up on you and like use your emotions for political gain or whatever the hell it is, you know what I mean? And there are days you wake up, you're like, it's so dark, I don't even know how to be positive right now.
Man, that's been the last 3 days, man.
Yeah, man.
Seriously.
We're all like, but like that communal vibe of like being able to just say that and being like, that's okay, you know? That's kind of the whole Big Riddle is like what kind of pointing to the prime mover is like, well, we're going to get an answer one way or another. It might be today, it might be tomorrow, you know, you never know when your last day is going to be, but the worst that can happen is that you have to leave this world, which you're already guaranteed to have to do anyway. So it's like, shit, you might as well enjoy the ride, you know? That's like the whole vibe of it.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I definitely felt that, and I really love that's I guess what kind of attracted me to the album. I'm big on like the idea of existentialism and just like you said, wondering, not just existing, but being like, okay, what is my purpose? What is this? What type of person am I? And what was I put here to do? You know, am I, and then I like the fact that you have those ideas, but put to an upbeat rhythm, you know, so it's something that's just like, it's aesthetically pleasing to listen to. But like you said, when you take the time and break down the lyrics, it's like, wow, okay. You know, this is kind of a contrast from the rhythms and the upbeat drums and all that. You're actually talking about something, I guess, like a little, if it wasn't a regular conversation, wouldn't be as, I guess, upbeat or happy to talk about, you know, like, and I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, I feel that.
Like, definitely.
And that's what's so beautiful about like music and just art, period, man. It's an expression of you.
Yeah, that's right.
No, seriously. And that's something else I wanted to talk about, because I know that you also, you know, besides make your own music, you score for movies and write music for other artists. So I just wanted to know, I kind of got an idea of how it is for you writing for yourself, but what is the process like when you're essentially trying to write for someone else's, I guess, like someone else's purpose, or write for a movie, or kind of formulate a song for someone else to be able to sing it? Like, how does that work for you, having to write for somebody else, period?
You know, it's funny. I think it's way easier usually, because I'm, you know, we're all our own worst critics, right? So like me, I'm never done. Like when I finally say I'm done, it's like way the hell usually after when I started. So when I guess I got trained from a young age, like right out of college, I started working for Fisher-Price, and it was kind of like, hey, we need you to make a Rihanna song, or we need to make this song sound like whatever the hell, Sia, you know?
That's kind of cool.
Whatever it was, or this like EDM track we need. So I would just kind of get good at, I had a deadline, you know? It's like, well, this is when it has to be done by, or at least this is when it's got to be approved by marketing. So I just work backwards, and like, you know, it just made it a lot easier for my right brain, idiot artist brain to kind of just formulate how I would get it done. And you know that it's going to be off your plate. Like when you say it's done, you want it to be as good as possible. So it just shifts your brain into a different working method. And then the same thing, like after I left, it was, I went off and started my own kind of like business, House of Logic Audio. So I started doing that essentially freelance, and I would work with other companies, and yeah, same thing. They'd be like I'm doing one for Sesame Street right now. They're like giving me, like, they want some like funky poppy EDM dance songs for Elmo to dance to, and I'm like, all right, cool, just give me some genres, we'll fit it into this, whatever.
That's
and
pretty
like,
cool. Yeah,
it's fun, you know, it's like an exercise. But then I started writing and touring with some artists, like my good buddy Jackson Harris. We did some touring through Europe with like Cody Simpson from he's an Australian guy. It's like really poppy stuff, right? So like, you know, he just gives you like some stuff that he's into, and you try to write for his melody, like, or his vocal range. Like I'm very aware. I was always really into chorus back when I was in high school, actually. So that I learned a lot about where to put the voice, like how to write for somebody else's voice, not put them out of their range, that kind of thing.
Right.
Make them shine, basically. And then, then my friend, Jen Wigmore, who I tour with, she's a New Zealand artist. She's awesome. She's like a chainsaw, Amy Winehouse-y kind of, rocky,
definitely,
all her own at the same time. And you know, I just know her vibe so well. I know her energy so intimately, and it's sometimes easier. It's just like in like other aspects of life, it might be easier to give somebody else care than like love somebody else as opposed to love yourself. I would equate that to like the same way it is to write for somebody else as opposed to writing for yourself. Like I know when I'm done, like I know what you're after. As a matter of fact, like even playing for Jen can be such a hard ass sometimes. Like when I first started playing with her, she just like wanted to put my feet to the fire to like really see if I could, you know, deal with getting messed with basically. And she's like, I don't like that piano sound. Give me something else, Rocco. I'm like, well, I just dialed it up real quick. How about that? I'm with it.
Right.
And like we would immediately, you know, hit it off. She's like, okay, I guess that's okay for now. And then like would shit on it 10 minutes later, and I just kept you on your toes. You know, you're like, it's a lot harder for me to let other people down ultimately than it is to let myself down. You know, when you're writing for yourself, you've got no deadlines. It's like nobody else, unless you're on a signed label, it's like nobody else is demanding you put this out. So you have to really get your shit together and figure out a timeline that works. Otherwise, guess what? There's no checks and balances. You're the checks and balances.
That's true. Yeah. Oh,
you know?
Okay.
But,
Definitely.
That brings me to another question. Like, what are some more complications of having to write for other people? Like the pros and cons.
It's well, I'll use writing with Kindo as an example. I mean, Kindo is a beautiful hodgepodge of like different music tastes. Like we all listen to different stuff. I mean, a lot of us listen. We have a similar compass, you know. Like we all love Radiohead. We all love Joey and I are more kind of. We dig pop music too, but like really good, really well written songs. You know. I know that's an open-ended thing, but as far as like pop music goes, it's like, you know, you like the classic pop almost. I can get down with, I just started messing with like Dua Lipa's production. Like I think her stuff's really good.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like, okay, you're like, somebody put this together though. You know what I mean? Like somebody put this together.
It wasn't too cookie cutter.
No, it's like England usually has it together. You know, you mentioned James Blake. I mean, England, they got. Are you guys know Jack Garrett too? He's
barely.
Check him out.
Yeah,
man.
I had never.
He's ridiculous.
Okay.
He's ridiculous. He's definitely on that James Blake vibe, except for I think he's a multi-instrumentalist too. As far as like dudes doing it all the way though, like the way he plays guitar is as badass as he plays drums, as badass. Like he'll play keys and bass and drum at the same time. It's crazy, man.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he's a real deal.
No, I'm gonna definitely have to check that out.
But it's a tug of war sometimes when you're writing with a group. Like I think there's a reason why songwriters are usually like duos, like, you know, Lennon McCartney kind of vibes, you know, like it's usually like Hall & Oates, like all those dudes, like it's like Pistons more so, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
Bands are hard, man. They're really hard. Like it's hard to keep the same people together for years. And not only when it comes to writing like musical decisions, like everybody wants their voice to be heard, but like you're ultimately bowing down. Your ego has got to get sacrificed at the altar of the song, you know. You want the song to be the focal point. It has nothing to do with any individual anymore. It's not a solo project. It's very much like we're kind of guiding this thing together, like to be the best it could be, you know. And then add on top of that, like in Kindo, we got 6 people. That's 6 different lives. You got to be.
That's true.
Living in the same city, and ideally, which most of the time Kindo wasn't, you know, for large chunks of time. It was split between Buffalo and New York, which is 6.5 hour drive away. You've got like different girlfriends, wives coming in and out, you know, drama. You've got life
people
situations,
having kids and stuff, and
people having kids. Maybe, yeah. Somebody wants to go to college. Somebody doesn't. All of that stuff influences, like each one of these lives influences every other life so much that it's actually kind of crazy that anyone finds success as a band, you know? Because like, and we really think about it, like how many bands stick together for like decades on end, you know?
That's
You
very
Chili Peppers, you're rocking
Yeah.
the Chili Peppers right there. I mean, that's one of the few, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Chili Peppers are definitely one of the few who managed to be friends and like, but even
Hold
still,
it together.
Shani ain't in the band anymore, you know?
Yeah. So it's right. So it's just like that's a crazy thing. Like you don't really think about it. Like at least for me, of course, because not in a band or anything. At least for not an extended period of time like that. But yeah, I guess because there's just so many different opinions going around. Like that's crazy.
Yeah. And it's you grow. Think about how hard it is for people to stay together and be married. You know what I mean? A
Right.
band is essentially it's like you're married to however many other dudes or girls. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
it's crazy. It really is like that, though. I'm not even playing. Like, you know each other so intimately. Like, you love each other, but sometimes you're like, God, just shower.
Right. Just shower. Well, like, yeah. With that being said, we did talk about it a little bit before the podcast, but it's just interesting to see how that dynamic works. Between especially 6 guys, like I said, that's a lot of different people, and I want to know like what are like the positives and negatives of going on tour like in a big group like that.
Positives are it's still my favorite thing in the world to do. It really is, because I love equally traveling, playing music, and like talking philosophy, life, whatever. So I get to do all three of those things at the same time with some of my favorite humans. So like that's I've been very blessed, and then I haven't had to tour with many assholes. I'll be honest with you. Like I've definitely dodged some bullets. Like I've heard horror stories of people who play with like big cats too, and it's like, yeah, man, I don't know if that's worth it. It's everybody's got to make that decision for themselves. You're like, why are you in it? The pyramid is usually it's like the hang, the money, or the music. You get to pick three. You get to pick two, rather.
Yeah.
So, but like then the downside is, I mean, I've toured for I've done different styles of tours as well. I've done like big label tours where you're like in a nice double-decker bus with like James Bond TVs coming out the wall and like catered. Everything's like really, really nice, and all you have to do is worry about you don't even set up your gear. It's just there, ready, and you just go and sound check, have a few drinks, come back, talk to some girls, whatever. It's like the greatest thing in the world. But then
that's cool.
Then you'll play like the mid-level stuff. It's like more everybody's kind of starting to nickel and dime you here and there and whatever. And then there's like Kindo is DIY. Like it's kind of I don't even know if it's really understood how it's like indie in the truest sense. Like the support we get from other people that we love, and like it feels weird saying even fans, but it's just like people who appreciate the music and appreciate like what they've done and what we do. It's how we're able to do it. It's literally the most fan to band experience I've ever been associated with. So it's pretty cool in that respect, but it's tough out there. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. So when we tour with Kindo, as opposed to like some other groups, I might play like 3-4 shows a week. Kindo is like every day we are in a new city, and we are driving and we are hitting the road, and it's like we're in the trenches, like doing all of the work, And that being said, before I was even in the group, like they did it way harder than I did. So I mean, the band's been together for almost 15 years. It's crazy.
Oh wow!
But there's a respect. Sorry, that's what I was gonna say.
But yeah, Rocco. I was gonna ask you how long did it take you guys to do Happily However After? Because it was grueling waiting for those it was grueling when you guys like drop like 1 or 2 tracks every now and then
On the Patreon.
Yeah, but how
Yeah.
long did it take you guys to finish it?
That's a good question. I think in between, I want to say it was like 4 years, but it wasn't like we were working on it steadily for 4 years. So it was, it's just, that's when it was in between album releases. And it was written, so it was kind of as I was coming into the band, actually. That's how, that was my first album with the band, actually, believe it or not. So like, it was really cool too, because like I said, we have a mutual respect. So Kindo's passed the torch from different musicians, like quite a bit. But we all, for whatever reason, it's kind of like, you ever hear the term like attracts like? Like when you like energies just find one another. Like it's really weird in that they're from my hometown and I didn't know them in my hometown. So when I came to New York, I mean, I was tight with Steve, the old drummer, and we just immediately, like, all of our musical sensibilities were like, it was like brothers, you know what I mean? And then hanging with Joey, I was like, dude, you're like literally like missing pieces of the puzzle that is my life, or like each other's lives, It was like really like that. It was crazy. It was like predestined. But and speaking of those moments of heaven, I remember being in Brazil, which I was super stoked to go back to in this past June, which didn't happen. But we were in Sao Paulo playing a show, and we were playing October Storm, if you know that song. It's going to be released we're pressing the vinyl, Rhythm, Chord, and Melody. And it's about a storm that actually happened in Buffalo that I lived through, but didn't even know this song existed at the time. And I'm playing it. I'm playing the keys parts that Kelly Chandra wrote, and they're just, again, just felt like they were made, like all of my, like a lot of the things that I like to play, It was just such a weird moment. And these, like, the fans in Brazil are singing louder than Joey singing in a language that many of them don't speak, about a storm 10 years ago in my hometown, like of Buffalo. It's like so
right.
And that was, again, that moment of heaven where you're like looking around, you're like, I love all of these people. Like, this is the vibe right now. It was just, everything was just, I looked up and you're just like, I don't know what all this is, but I'm thankful. You know what I mean? It was like, that's when I knew I'd found my club, my people,
Oh yeah, definitely. And I was talking about October Storm. What is your favorite Reign of Kindo song to perform?
That's a good question, because there's so many. I know that sounds like a cliche answer, but there really are so many fun songs to play. Like Human Convention is a blast to play live.
Yeah, I bet.
All the time changes and the groove changes, and then again, like Smell of a Rose is a blast. Off Happy However After, and then Hero Saint is just like, I think that was the first song that I just like, when you really get what Joey's saying in his lyrics, like you're just like, this is everything, you know what I mean?
That's my song. Yeah.
That's just such a special song to me too. It's like, it's because I heard that before I was in the band. So I was like, dude, this dude is speaking to me right now. Like,
right.
And now, we went and we had a barbecue. That's all we did last night. We all just shot the shit. We haven't been we went to Rodney's for a barbecue too, but it's like, we still just hang out and like do the same thing we always do, which is just talk life and philosophy and like lifts each other up. And, it's just, that is literally how, like those lyrics, that's how Joey is. That's how, like, we're always trying to figure out the answers to these impossibly large questions,
Yeah.
And in doing so, like, that binds us all closer together, It's just like, oh, wait. It's kind of like the way you look up at the star. You know why stars I feel are so universally accepted as the most beautiful symbol of life. It's like every poet is inspired by stars, every movie director ever, every whatever. Because you look up and you just know immediately that you have no idea what's going on. You know, you're just humbled.
Pretty much.
And like, and then you can't hate anyone. How could you? What the hell is the point of hate at that point? You know what I mean? You just, it's like you have to immediately. Oh yeah, you also are doing the best you can. You're trying to figure this shit out. You're trying to do the best you can. You know, it's just like immediately it unifies. And I'm always just like, man, I just want to. That's what all of us want to do. We just want to unify. Like that. If that's like the common thread, I think, of all of our like our homies and in Kindo especially, it's just like we just want the divide sucks, man. Like I don't want to divide. I don't want to further division. I want to like bring us together, man. You know, the world needs to be closer, not further. You know?
Yeah,
Big time.
Reach it,
definitely.
reach it.
You know, I'll be one. You know, I'll be on the same page, man.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. You know, like it's I know it's definitely a blessing, you know, to be with a group of guys like that. And for me, it definitely comes out in the music because it's like, you know, in the times when you weren't in the band and then when you were there, it's like I could tell it's just like a cohesive, you know, sound. You guys always seem to be on the same page. You know, it's nothing like starkly different. It's like, oh wait, you know, I'm not used to this, you know, this sound of Reign of Kindo. You know, it's like everything is just like a really continual, I guess, groove per album. You know, and I think that's awesome, man.
That's appreciated because I mean it's not consistent. You know, it's like that's where people who like we always know it's again it sounds so weird saying, but like Kindo fans are like. Kindo supporters are a kindred spirit. They really are. Like we know that like if I know somebody who's at a Kindo show, or if I meet somebody rather, I know they're gonna be chill human beings. It's just like a prereq. There's so much. It just means something that you forgive the you know the genre hopping, the whatever. It's like this doesn't fit. What do you call this? What kind of music is this? I don't know, but already. The forgiveness to not be able to put this in a box and to still come to the table and like dig it and celebrate it is like that means that I guarantee you're gonna just meet friends at a show. You know, it's like this is how it goes. Every single time we play, I mean a new person that I'm like, oh yeah, you're awesome. That's great.
No, definitely. Like I know, like I said, I was so happy that I was able to, you know, make that happen for Joshua. Like I said, because when we went to your show and you guys were electric, man. It was oh yeah, no problem. But like I said, I'd never seen this man smile so much in my life. And like we were right up there on the stage or by the stage, and I was like, yeah, Josh, there's Joey right there. He's like, I'm like, man, let's go try to take a picture with him. He's like, oh no, man, I don't know. And I just went over there and was like, hey man, you know, we're such big fans, can we get a picture? And he was like so nice and cool with it. And you know, like I said, I got a picture with him and it's the biggest smile I've ever seen on this man's face.
Oh, I love it.
And if you know Josh, he does not smile a lot.
Nah, he don't smile a lot.
Whatever.
I don't believe that.
But yeah, man, it was like I said, it was like being there with, you know, family. And I thank you guys for giving being my brother that moment. You know what I'm saying? Because it's something we'll never forget, bro. Like definitely.
That's beautiful, man. That makes me, I mean, I think of how many memories I've had at shows too. That's like the biggest honor you can ever hear, truthfully. Like, I don't think it's kind of underappreciated just how it's a symbiotic relationship, right? It's like you make music in your bedroom, like that's cool. Like, and nobody ever hears it. It's like, that's fun. But like the sharing of art is what makes it the most special, right? Like when you don't even know why you're feeling these feelings, but somebody's right next to you feeling them with you, and like these people are presenting it, and it's a give and take. Like that's what we're all missing right now so much. So it's
big time
to be reminded of that. It like helps us too. Like, and I mean that as sincerely as I could say it, because I can't wait to get back on the road. I can't wait to get to show y'all what we've been working on. I can't wait to like be in, see y'all at a show and just be able to like rock out again and have that communion again. That's literally what it is. You're celebrating life. You're celebrating all this shit together,
Yeah. And y'all
That's
definitely got a new fan.
Yeah, you got
right here. So
yes, sir.
Y'all done gained some new fans. Trust me.
Definitely. Looking forward to the new music you guys are gonna put out.
I love it.
Definitely.
I just had a question because I was thinking about like back when you was talking about like Stevie Wonder, like Billy Joel, like different musicians. Like, is it like an artist? Like you would love to just do like little covers, not even just one artist, but like any artist you would love to do like covers of their songs, just to like dedicate, who you've been inspired by.
Yeah, man, I've got a bunch that I'm doing in the pipeline right now. Actually,
Ooh.
I mean, Rodney and I were about to unleash like a whole '90s R&B like brain.
Oh my
I'm not even playing around, especially after watching that Instagram thing today. It was like, oh man, we gotta go.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're gonna do all sorts of stuff, man. I love vocal arrangements too, so don't be surprised if you see some Boyz II Men coming out. I'm just gonna be real.
Hey,
so
okay.
we're gonna, and then I mean, like, but then again, we love everything. Like there's an artist, Bibio, who I really love from England. He's killing it right now. I love, I mean, as far as like modern artists, Liana La Havas, I think she is so dope.
Yeah, I like her too. Yeah.
She's dope. King, y'all know King? They're from Minnesota. It's a girl group, the keyboard player.
No.
She's so Paris. Something.
Okay.
They're so tasty, man. Little Dragon. I was gonna do a cover of them.
Yes. Little Dragon.
I definitely love me some Little Dragon. They're huge influences. Awesome. There's a long list. My laundry list of covers that are coming. I just did one of this. Level 42? It's like it's a really obscure band from the '80s, but Something About You. It's called. Let me see if I got it pulled up.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'll share it with you guys.
Yeah. Well, but another thing, like just on an unrelated note, like talking about dropping stuff and like on social media, your Instagram posts be killing me, man. I'm like, what in the world? It's like the most random stuff, bro.
Yes, sir. You got to keep it positive a little bit. You know what I mean? So it's like, when stories came about, I was like, little by little, I'm like, well, I kind of like, I was debating having another page that was just going to be like my obsession with memes, but I'm like, this is perfect. Just throw away stories. Like, I'll do my music stuff here, and then everything else is like going to be up there because it's just temporary,
No, you were legit like the meme king, man. Like you got, you're killing the game with the memes.
Yes.
Like,
oh, that makes me happy. Although I gotta be honest with you, like people hit me up every day now. They're like, "Dude, your memes get me through the day." And I'm like, it's crazy, actually. Like comedy, that's another thing that I absolutely adore. Like I'm just obsessed with. Most of my musician friends, like we're kind of obsessed with comedy too. So it's like, I think it's because as right brain humans, we have a tendency to go so dark sometimes. You need to laugh at it too.
You need that balance.
It restores the equilibrium,
Seriously.
So that's always huge, man. You gotta laugh at.
Well, yeah, you just can't and I think that's like with everything you do. And like I said, I can hear it, in like your music, because it's just like it's so relaxed and it's so like, non-pretentious or whatever. It's like a lot of the times you can't take yourself so seriously. You just can't at all. Like it's just that.
We all play the fool. Every one of us, man. We all play the fool.
Every one of us, exactly. So yeah, that's definitely refreshing to hear, because there are people out there that's just like they're just smelling their own farts, so it's just like you can't
Champagne glasses.
That was the nicest way you could have put that, Chad.
Yeah, definitely.
That's the truth, man. That's the truth. But yeah, Rocco, I definitely wanted to ask you, man, before we got out of here, like, for anybody that's out there that's trying to come up in, music and trying to make a name for themselves in, the music industry, or, or they're in a band, or, trying to start a band, like, what would you give them as far as advice for, any one of those people, that something that helped you along the way?
I think that the number one thing I'd say is your compass. You have to have a good compass, and what that's calibrated to is vitally important too, right? So you have to know where you're heading, even though if you don't know how you're going to necessarily get there, you have to know what success will look like for you. I know it's been said a lot, but it's very true, because if you're after money, like, you're probably in the wrong business. And, it's a sliver of us that are kind of, that are going to be the days of, like, just easily dropping a single and having that be your mansion. It's like, I don't even know when that was, but it's just the media, or the the bigger aspects of the big music industry would have you believe that is it's still popping. But, like, most people, I think, it's for the love. Like, you really have to love it first and foremost. So find that aspect of it that you love, that you adore, that you would give everything to do. And if money were no object, you would still do it, right? I always tell people, like, I get paid to move gear. I get paid to set up my stuff. I don't get paid to play music, because I would do that for free. And at the same time, you got to know what you're worth. So once, I've done a lot of free shit, because that's how you cut your teeth. That's how you, and you do it in the beginning. It's all free. You're just practicing. That's hours and hours and hours and days and months and years of your life that you don't get paid for. In fact, you might pay teachers, you might pay for resources, you might buy whatever it is, but you're trying to hone your skills so that someday when someone's like, hey man, I got this really good exposure gig, I was gonna, so-and-so's got a gig, we can't pay you, but it'd be great for, like, your exposure. And you're like, sorry, I can't do that right now. As much as, like, I would do it for free, and everything in me is like, no, play, it's another opportunity. It's like, you got to know the difference of, like, when you're paying your dues, and then when you're like, no, I'm going to actually stick to my guns here. And this is my minimum now. This is now I'm in the game. All right. Like, now I'm worthy of being compensated for all of the efforts that I put in for however long, it's like, that's another step that I would say is the counterbalance to loving it.
In the hole and knowing the fold.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Certainly. Well, that's all good stuff, man. And it's been nothing but a pleasure having you on today, Rocco. Like 100%, man.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But,
definitely a good positive vibe we needed. Like,
seriously.
From, like, the moment we, like, started talking before the podcast till now, like, it's all been positive vibes.
It's all love, man. All love.
Definitely. Go ahead, Josh. You wanted to say something?
Hey, one more detour before we wrap everything up. Rocco, how long have you been practicing yoga?
Oh, I've been practicing yoga, since I was like 20, 21. So I didn't get crazy serious until I thought I'd practiced yoga since that long. But I mean, I've been doing it for that long, but then I got this teacher like 3 years ago who just he's out here in New York. This guy is like a unicorn, man. He's crazy. He's like a physics teacher. He's a language teacher. He's a visual artist with like fine pens. He does these huge murals, hyper detailed murals from Mexico City. I have no idea how old he is. I've heard rumors that he's like crazy. Oh, like he just looks young. He's the kind of guy though that like he legitimately talks, like the way he talks, you hear revolution like in his he's doing yoga. It's like this badass like yoga, anarchist almost. Like I
That's
just
what's
he's
up.
such a good dude, man. I can't say enough about him. So he kind of like, he's like, you ever know, do you know your teachers in life? You ever pay attention and be like, oh yeah, man, that's my teacher energy right there. Like I've got people throughout my life where I'm like, they helped me come up, you know, in one way or another, whether it was like, may not even known it at the time, you know, but like now I look back and I'm like, oh yeah, they like, I don't know what I would have done without them, kind of thing. Like this guy did that for yoga for me. So long story short, like he does this yoga for humanity, and it's like 5 days a week. He just does it for free. Like the classes are they're like 3 hours long. It's like it's hardcore, man.
Jeez.
But like,
wow.
And they're all over the world. And he just like why, dude? You're just doing this for free all the time. Like he just wants to like give love into the world. I'm like, dude, it's inspirational, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
That's what's up. We certainly need more of
That's
that.
what I'm saying, you know?
Big time. Yeah, definitely. It's nothing like that positive reinforcement and that positive energy, because I know everybody here, including myself, we've all had those people and that person. You know, that's why I respect teachers and instructors so much, because they unknowingly, because they run into so many people, touch a lot of folks, you know. And then just like you with yoga now, and just, you know, your perspective, you reach back and use a lot of what was shown to you, you know. So that's,
yeah, man,
it's definitely good stuff.
That's a lot of, again, with the album. I mean, I don't know if the physical copy, it's got like waves are all over it. Like that's another common theme on the album. Like I think on the vinyl itself, it's just pictures of waves, and on the back of the CD, I can't remember, but because you don't know how far your influence will reach, you know, you can never know. You don't know how far it's reaching already, you know, but that's why you kind of, I mean, don't get me wrong, man. I've been a piece of shit many times. Will probably be a piece of shit many times in the future, but if you're cognizant of that, you're like, man, well, maybe I could, when I'm aware, when I'm in the now, and I can maybe choose to not be, it's like, it'll send that vibration like even further, you know?
Yeah, I think that's part of it too. You know, a lot of the times, you know, we can't really fault ourselves for, you know, because everybody's got their days, you know, but like you said, the important part is learning from that and be like, okay, you know what, I see where I'm going with this, and from what I've learned, let me just try something a little different. And that's the whole point.
Yeah,
you know,
man.
like that's really it at the end of the day. But yeah, that's, you know, truly inspiring stuff, man. Oh, go ahead, Josh. You want to say something else?
Yeah. The album art on Prime Mover is real interesting, Rocco. Like it's like it's like your face, but in different perspectives. It's like it's like real existential. Like you have like different ways of thinking and dealing with certain points in your life. I kind of got that from different parts of the album, like all the songs. Like,
oh, that's cool, man.
Is that what the art means?
Well, it's funny. I wish I could pull up like what I texted my friend who did the artwork. She did that with Mascara. She's an incredible artist. Yeah. And I was just kind of describing like the process of like a lot, what the lyrics meant, like anxiety, self-doubt, like forgiving yourself, others, all of these things roped into one. And like she came out with that. I was like, man, you nailed it. You know, I thought she nailed it. So
no, she did. That's definitely like what it looks like.
Yes, she definitely nailed it.
100%. But yeah, and that's a good point. As far as your vinyl for Prime Mover, and then any Reign of Kindo vinyl coming out, like definitely. Can you tell like all our viewers your social media, where to find your stuff, where to buy your albums, all of that good stuff?
Yeah, man, that's great. So I'm Rocco of the Snow on pretty much every social media thing. And then from there, I've got links in the bio, or you could just go to roccoofthesnow.com. got vinyls. I think my vinyl's on sale right now too. I'm just keeping it kind of like, because I know everybody's hurting. It's just like $20. So.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked on those, and that was a cool thing to be able to press. And then, so then if the grid goes down, I still have some physical representation that I did this.
There you go. Right.
And then yeah, I got digital copies and everything like that too. But like I think that one of the best ways you could help artists nowadays, if people like don't have money to, I always tell people, they're like, hey, what can I do to support? I'm kind of hurting right now. It's like it's stupid, but it's like just consuming it, like on the streaming services, like liking it, following it, all that shit, share it, because it helps like the algorithms actually kind of give it some momentum and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's a little spiel. And then Kindo's got Rhythm, Chord, and Melody is coming out on vinyl pretty soon. It's easy to find. You just search Reign of Kindo. And new single on September 18th.
Awesome.
Better Together. Better Off Together, it's called. So kind of wraps it all up for us, huh?
Yeah, we'll definitely
awesome.
think of that. Yes.
Yes, I'm gonna definitely be listening to it.
Vinyl.
No,
sir.
yeah,
Hey,
I'm gonna
have to get some of the vinyls, man.
Yes, sir.
Cause I'm a vinyl fiend. Like I just had to move all my crates out the way. Like
there you go.
It's ridiculous. So yes, I will definitely be picking that up. So for all our viewers out there, definitely pick up Rhythm, Chord, and Melody by Reign of Kindo, and pick up Prime Mover by Rocco of the Snow, please.
Yes.
And and so on our end. You said what?
Yes, sir.
Which one, Josh?
Yes, sir.
And Happily However After.
Yes.
Happily However After is vinyl too. That's right.
Oh yeah, see, definitely. I'm gonna be broke because I'm.
I'm gonna be broke too.
Definitely. But once again, Rocco, definitely thanks for coming out, man. Like,
thanks for having me.
Definitely, and
good talking with y'all.
Yeah,
great talking with you
definitely. It's definitely been a blast, and like every other time, it's time for our promotion, guys. So on our end, we are the Square Round Table, and you can catch us every Friday on power214.com at 9 a.m. and 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Central time, and 1 p.m. Eastern time.
And you can also catch us on YouTube, like on Friday, right after we go on the air at the Square Round Table. And if you like the video, share it and hit the notification bell so when we post the next video.
All right. And once again, guys, I'm your host, Chad Singleton, and everybody, including our amazing guest today, please introduce yourselves one more time before we sign out.
D.
Joshua Singleton.
Marcus.
And Rocco. I'm Rocco of the Snow, y'all. God, it's been great talking with y'all. Hopefully we'll see you again soon, okay? Be well.
Definitely. All right, we are out. Peace.
I love it.
Peace.
All right.